Welcome to Courageous Conviction. Remember that Jeff and I record each Saturday 5 episodes. So please hit the like button, subscribe so you catch all 5 episodes. We usually start out with one theme or topic. We have to go down a lot of rabbit holes to really understand it. Some things are more sensitive than others right now, what's going on in the world. So hit the like button, subscribe, and let's jump into this video.
And this woman was, obviously Democrat, and she's like, oh, martial arts. I'm like, and the kids are on the trampoline, and she's got this big kid, and the big kid was kind of being rough with my little kid. I'm like, and my little kid kind of defended himself, and she's like, oh, your son is being violent. I'm like, no, he's not. He's, reacting to, your son being kind of big, so, yeah, I don't think he's done anything there. And I've been watching, so, I mean, I got to be careful with these members, that they don't get offended. I try not to offend other members of the church that they keep coming to the church. But, at the same time, I'm going to defend my son. And he, was half the size of this other kid, like, she goes, well, if he kicks him in the kidney, I'm like, I didn't see that. So that didn't happen because I've been watching. I didn't take away that glance. Anyway, the moral of the story was, yeah, kind of like what you said, people are afraid of teaching your kids violence. No, I'm not. I'm afraid of my kids not being able to defend themselves because we teach them kindness and we teach them how to follow the Spirit and how to use, in their martial arts training, they use and they have affirmations that is about honesty and using their talents for the right purpose, right? To help others. Kind of like that being prepared thing, and all those good values that come out of Boy Scouts, now we use, get some of that through martial arts training.
Yeah, and unfortunately, martial arts is only that aspect of it, of the self-defense, and there's more of a, now I want to say psychological but it is psychological because it's meditative, properties that come in with martial arts to help keep peace of mind and so forth. I learned all that in martial arts. I didn't learn that in the church. I brought that into the church using the gospel and the Spirit of, okay, I need to go and just check out for 15 minutes and just, learn how to meditate and just relax some. Now, do I discipline myself to take the time to do it when I should? No, that's a whole different story, right? But the martial arts then comes back to give you that discipline. And look, when I was the most active in the martial arts, I was very disciplined. The less active I'm in the martial arts, the less disciplined I am. Now, so, my daughter even said to me, okay, Dad, we're going to start some different things. And so what we're doing is trying to rebuild discipline in our home. We've had all these moves, and it's really easy to say, oh, man, I want to pack and unpack again. And just we get tired, you get burnt out. You understand that. And coming back from being so long and down in South America, it's just, okay, but you got to do it. You've got to do it. I've got every excuse in the world. And I'm saying this with all due respect to anybody. I know there's some really, really, really busy people out there, but I don't know of anybody that's,
take the time.
Well, I'm just as busy as probably the busiest people out there. Right.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you can relate to that too. I'm sleeping 4 or 5 hours a day because I've got 4 or 5 side hustles we're trying to pick up because I know the industry I'm in right now, looking down the road, doesn't look good. So I got maybe a year or between now and November, because who knows what's going to happen come November, right? We could be in utter chaos come November, depending on this election. And either way, so if the Republicans get their way, the conservatives get their way, then we could have utter chaos in the country. If they don't get their way, then you're going to have probably a corrupt election. And you're going to have then there's more dissension, and you're going to have the continuance of the invasions, right? And this isn't something new in this administration. Under the Obama administration, the invasion was the Islamic people. And I'm not bagging on Islamic people, but we have a problem right now. You're starting to see all these people rise up supporting Hamas and so forth. And I kept saying, I was in D.C. a lot doing some research. I would take my boys with me. They were like 9 or 10 then. And so I was taking them back and forth with me and to Washington, D.C. And all we ever saw piling in Washington, D.C. were Islamic people with just tons of suitcases coming in. I told my boys, something's going on here. This is not good. That they're being allowed in here for a reason, and our borders are being open. And that when I first got suspect of it, and I don't want to go back to that. I'm not jumping into that point. I'm just trying to say that this has been an ongoing problem for a number of years. So the cells, the terrorist cells, and these other cells, Chinese, Russian military, Venezuelan military, they're all here. They've been allowed in under these administrations, unfortunately, Democrat administrations. And we need to be voting.
We're not anti-immigration, legal immigration. We're not anti-Islamic, or anti-Islam, we're anti-anything. We're anti, to those that are trying to do away with the First and Second Amendment, and to those that are trying to do things the wrong way. If we got a government that is allowing immigration, which we do, a kind of immigration they call immigration, or the kind of homelessness that they call homelessness that isn't homelessness, that's drug addictions. These are big issues that we're not resolving in our country because they're looking the other way. It's just
immigration's one thing. Allowing invasion of our sovereign country is
two different things.
And we're not talking, we're talking there's probably more than 15 million in real numbers that have come in. And if you want to just talk about that, for example, the whole country of Ecuador is only for 14 million people. Right. Costa Rica is about 4 or 5 million. So we just brought in Ecuador and Costa Rica. We absorbed 2 countries in here.
And Nicaragua.
Right? And Nicaragua too, if you would. And we don't even bring in Puerto Rico. But why? Because of all the poor that are in Puerto Rico. Well, heck, if we made Puerto Rico citizens, there'd been a lot less poor Latinos in our country under our taxation.
I never understood that. I think Puerto Rico should and always should have been qualified as a country, as one of us.
Listen to this. And here's one of the reasons why not. Because they would drain a tap on the welfare system, and that would cause inflation. Right. So what's happening right now? All this money is being thrown out and given away. I see Joe Biden at the bridge in Baltimore just saying the federal government is going to pay 100% for this. Oh, yeah, you're just going to spend our money on that bridge. Well, somebody needs to be held accountable for, because that Singaporean ship is not being held accountable for because they found some maritime law where they're able to escape responsibility.
A maritime law that was invented back in 1890, so that's just ridiculous that they're using that kind of maritime law to get out of paying their debt, out of the responsibility, so, and then that's going to be on the shoulders of the American public, to pay for that bill. Biden's not paying for it. It's not coming out of his pocket.
Yeah, no, he's acting like a real nice guy, giving our money away. So here's my point. I'm not here to bag on that. What I'm here to do is warn people that is going to destroy this economy. This is going to be the ice. They're spending. If they're not put into check or not taken out of office, this will destroy very quickly. So this is not something we need to be taking lightly. This is something we need to be moving on and moving in that direction aggressively every day, because it's only going to get worse, not going to get better, right? At least not until the savior comes. I don't think this is going to get any better until savior comes. We are so far gone right now that without act of like what took place against Great Britain, or I should say when Lincoln was president, I don't want to say the words because of all the censoring now. By the way, I've seen a lot of information. My sources showing a lot that FBI, just on mentioning things against this current administration, are showing up at people's homes and harassing them for talking bad about this administration. This is the same kind of stuff that you'd see going on in Venezuela, right? It's taking place here in the United States of America. So that should be a warning to people themselves if they pull their head out of the sand. And, I think we're a little tougher here in this podcast. At least I am, because I need that with me. And I think that we need to wake people up. There's too much passivity going on.
We cannot trust the FBI. We cannot trust any government entity with 3 letters. So
you cannot, and you should not at this point. I mean, maybe you could have years ago. Nor can you trust any of the news. The regular national news, they're all part of the mob. They all are owned by maybe 6 owners in the whole world. All the news stations.
There's so much better news sources that aren't funded by nefarious big entities from behind the scenes that are trying to, create a narrative that isn't what it is.
Oh, and that's true. And there's a collective, I did a short video yesterday and sent it out to Walter to put out today for us. On Louisiana just passed a law this week that no policy that comes from the World Economic Forum, the United Nations, or the World Health Organization will be implemented in the state of Louisiana. They recognize where the source of the Gadiaton robbers is. That's the head of the secret combinations. And it's Klaus Schwab is the one running the program.
He's the head of the snake.
He's the head of the snake, and that is it. And I'm glad to see that finally Somebody's recognizing that. I've been touting that and saying that, hey, this is where it's at. This is where, that's where it's all
going
coming
to happen
from.
more. People are seeing it. People see it a lot, and now people are being outspoken. Hey, I got to go and cook breakfast before conference.
You go do that. I'm gonna go on with this Connor Boyack video. Okay, so this is gonna run a little bit long, and so I'm gonna go and I'll break some of this stuff down. I think it's an important video to watch and break down. You got to listen to if you have listened to it. He does a really good job of breaking everything down of where we should be today, right? And so. Yeah, Jeff, enjoy conference. We'll see you next Saturday, Jeff. And what we could do, I guess, is just close this out. If you would, we can close this one, just you and I, and then Walter can stay on, and I'll just go in and do the podcast with the video. And so, in summary, this is not to scare anybody. This is to bring the truth to light, to show you that, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is what's coming, most likely.
Become emboldened. I mean, get on board, get excited about doing something to prepare for yourself and for your family.
We need to get off our tushes and take responsibility for our families. We're not doing that as parents and as adults in the church. We're not, even outside the church. We are failing our youth. We're going to leave them in huge debt. What are we doing for our kids? Because we're not speaking up, right? Our kids are going to suffer the greatest for it, our kids and grandchildren. So what I want to try to do is help us to prevent that, to lower that burden on them. That's what I live for. I think we should all live for that. So in that closing, we'll close this session then with Courageous Conviction. Please subscribe, give us a like, send this out to your friends. We want to help. That's our idea. Jeff and I get back to the Savior, find peace in our lives, and it's going to get tough. So we're going to be here. We're going to be that voice in the wilderness, that voice in the darkness. Courageous Conviction. We'll see you next Saturday, Jeff.
Ciao.